What if I told you that the world you see right now isn't as solid as you believe? That the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're watching, even the story of your life, isn't set in stone because the very reality you think is out there is being woven second by something much closer. Your mind. Yes, your mind. Not just that stream of random thoughts rushing in when you can't sleep at night. Not just the little inner critic nagging you about bills, deadlines, or the one text that never came. I'm talking about the immense, silent generator of power that never switches off. The invisible engine that runs behind every smile, every heartbreak, every victory, and every collapse. It sounds dramatic, doesn't it? Almost exaggerated, but pause for a second. Look back at your own life. How many times did a simple thought, "I'll never make it," or maybe, "This could work," spiral into an entire chain of events that changed everything? Sometimes that whisper in your head shaped years of your existence. A single idea, that's all it took. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Your mind is not neutral. It's not a blank observer quietly sitting in the audience of your life. It's the director, the scriptwriter, and often the villain and the hero all at once. And here's the catch. It doesn't care if you're using it wisely or recklessly. It creates anyway. It molds anyway. That's why people end up living the same painful story on repeat, while others seem to glide into opportunities like life is whispering yes at every corner, because the mind is a factory, and it never closes. And if you don't understand how it works, if you don't take the wheel, then you're not just drifting, you're being driven fast by a machine you don't control. That's where this conversation gets real, because we live in a world obsessed with external power. Money, status, looks, likes, followers. We chase shiny things outside, thinking that if we just grab one more trophy, the noise inside will finally shut up. But you already know the truth. The noise never shuts up. You could win the lottery, move to Bali, get the car, the job, the lover, the perfect skincare, routine, and that restless hum in your head would still find a way to tell you something's missing, because the mind doesn't stop creating just because you filled your shelves with pretty things. It's not about what you hold in your hands. It's about what you hold in your head. And right now, in this exact moment, your mind is generating, thought by thought, vibration by vibration. You're tuning into a frequency. And that frequency is choosing the reality you walk into tomorrow. Pause and really let that in. You are literally broadcasting your next chapter with the energy of your thoughts, which begs the question, if you don't like the channel you're on, why haven't you changed it yet? Maybe because no one ever told you how. Maybe because society is more interested in teaching you algebra formulas you never use, instead of how to use the very mind that builds your life. Maybe because the noise of the world is so loud, politics, family drama, work chaos, that you forgot the most important truth. The world you experience is not just out there. It's in here, right here. And here's the hook. You don't need a PhD or a spiritual guru or a self-help library that costs a fortune to take that control back. What you need is awareness, choice, intention. And before we go further, let me tell you this. If this is already clicking for you, if you're feeling that spark of, damn, I need to hear more, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what we're about to unpack could literally change how you walk through every room, every relationship, every opportunity. Now let's push deeper. The mind is not a soft, fluffy cloud floating above your head. It's a generator, and like any generator, it outputs energy. That energy doesn't disappear. It's not harmless. It's fuel. And depending on the quality of your thoughts, that fuel either builds or burns. Think about it. When you wake up already dreading the day, already replaying the arguments, already predicting disaster, you don't just feel bad. Your body tightens. Your decisions shift. Your interactions darken. You walk into the world as if carrying storm clouds above you, and people sense it. Ever noticed how you can walk into a room and feel the vibe instantly? Even before anyone speaks? That's not magic. That's mind energy at work. On the other hand, when your thoughts are clear, when your inner dialogue aligns with confidence or peace, you don't just feel lighter, you project it. Doors open, conversations flow, opportunities align. Why? Because you tuned your frequency and suddenly, the external world had no choice but to reflect it back. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think thoughts are private, silent, safe, but nothing could be further from the truth. Your thoughts leak into your posture, your words, your choices. They shape how others read you. And most importantly, they shape how reality responds to you. It's like holding a remote control to life's channels. You might think you're stuck watching endless reruns of disappointment, but really, You've just been pressing the same button over and over again. And that's the part no one likes to admit. If your channel sucks, you're the one holding the remote. The good news? You can change it instantly. The moment you become aware, the moment you choose, you can flip from despair to clarity, from chaos to calm, from noise to harmony. But here's the uncomfortable catch again. You have to want to change it. Some people don't. Some people are addicted to their own storm, because at least it feels familiar. Chaos is their comfort zone, and so they keep replaying the same tragic show, season after season. But not you. You wouldn't still be listening if that was you. You're here because something inside of you is tired of the reruns. Something inside of you is whispering, there's got to be another way. And that's what this journey is about, to show you how your mind is not just a passive observer, but the central switchboard of your entire reality. And once you get that, really, get that, you'll never again look at a thought as just a thought. You'll see it for what it is, the seed of everything. Let's be real for a second. Most people think they're living life by choice. They wake up, grab their phone, go to work, call it freedom. But freedom? Real freedom? That's rare, because if you look closely, most of us aren't choosing at all. We're being run. Run by what? Programs, old tapes, invisible scripts that started playing long before you could even speak. Think about it. You didn't choose your name. You didn't choose your accent, your first school, your early beliefs. They were handed to you, coded into you, repeated until your mind said, okay, this must be true. And here's the part that stings. Those programs don't stop when you grow up. They don't just vanish because you moved out or changed your zip code. They sink deeper. They start to shape what you see, what you expect, and even what you allow yourself to have. Ever wondered why someone can read every self-help book on the shelf, take the courses, say the affirmations, and still end up stuck in the same loop? It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want it enough. It's because the program running underneath says, you don't deserve this. Stay small, stay safe, stay the same. And like a TV channel you forgot you left on in the background, that program just keeps broadcasting, hour after hour, year after year, until you forget it's even there. That's why you might notice patterns in your life. Same type of relationship ending the same painful way. Same type of job draining you. Same type of financial struggle knocking at your door. Different faces, different settings, but the same script. Because the channel never changed. Now here's where it gets even crazier. These programs don't just sit in your mind. They leak into your body. Neuroscience shows us that thoughts are not just clouds, they're chemicals. Every belief releases signals. Signals that tell your nervous system how to feel, your hormones how to react, and your energy how to show up in the world. So if your inner program is broadcasting scarcity, guess what your body prepares for? Lack. If your inner program is broadcasting fear, guess what your body prepares for? Defense, tension, stress. And when you live that way long enough, it doesn't just shape your mood, it shapes your reality. You literally tune yourself into channels of chaos without even realizing you picked up the remote. And here's the uncomfortable part. Most people never switch. They live their whole lives watching the same channel, the same drama, the same reruns. And they die thinking, this is just how life is. But it's not. It's just how life was programmed for them. Now imagine this. What if, instead of being stuck on the same channel forever, you realized you had access to an entire lineup? Not just the boring, predictable show you've been watching for years, but an entire universe of channels, each one carrying a different frequency, a different story, a different possibility for your life. That's the truth most people miss. Your mind isn't broken. Your life isn't doomed. You're just stuck on the wrong channel. So what do? You change it. But here's the tricky part. You can't just grab the remote and switch instantly if you don't even know which channel you've been tuned into. That's why awareness matters. You can't rewrite a script you refuse to read. And this is where most people give up. They notice the chaos, they hate the reruns, but instead of facing the program, they distract themselves. More noise, more scrolling, more shopping, more numbing. It's easier to avoid the script than to rewrite it. But avoidance never changes the show. It only makes the reruns louder. So let me ask you something. What's your rerun? What's the one storyline in your life that just won't die? The one that keeps showing up with a different cast, but the exact same ending. Maybe it's love that always leaves. Maybe it's money that always slips away. Maybe it's that nagging feeling that no matter what you do, you're never enough. That's not fate. That's not destiny. That's programming. And once you call it out, once you see the pattern, you have the power to flip the channel. But here's where it gets powerful. You don't just flip it by wishing. You flip it by vibrating differently, by feeding your mind new signals, new beliefs, new energy, until the old program doesn't match anymore. And when the old program doesn't match, it fades. It loses power. Think of it like tuning an old TV. When the signal changes, the static clears. Suddenly the picture sharpens. Suddenly you see a whole new show. That's how reality works. Shift the program, and the whole movie of your life starts changing scene by scene. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need a guru or a priest or a billionaire mentor to hand you the remote. You already have it. The only question is, are you brave enough to stop watching the reruns? Because here's the hard truth. Comfort zones are just prisons with invisible bars. And a lot of people would rather rot inside them than step into the unknown. But you're here listening, which tells me you're not like most people. You're ready to see that your reality is not fixed, that your channel can be changed, and that your life can be rewritten. And maybe right now you feel resistance rising up. But this is who I am. This is all I've ever known. It can't be that easy. And you're right, it's not easy. But it is simple. The remote is in your hands. The choice is yours. So what if today, right now, you dared to press a different button? To switch from fear to trust, from lack to abundance, from chaos to clarity, from reruns to a brand new storyline. What would happen? That's the experiment I'm inviting you into. Not blind faith, not wishful thinking. A real, lived experiment with your own mind. Because the moment you test this, the moment you see that shifting your thoughts shifts your world, you'll never go back to the old channel again. If the first truth is that most people live trapped by unconscious programs, the second truth is this: you are more than your programming. Always have been, always will be. Beneath the noise, beneath the scripts, beneath the tired reruns, there's a deeper frequency that belongs to you. The tragedy is that most people forget it. They spend their whole lives identifying with the static and never realizing that they were the signal all along. Think about it. When you were a child, before the weight of expectations and disappointments crushed down on you, you lived closer to this natural frequency. You were curious, alive, filled with wonder. You didn't need permission to create, to laugh, to imagine worlds no one else could see. That was you in your rawest, truest vibration. And then the world started whispering, be realistic, be careful, fit in, don't stand out, don't shine too bright. So you dimmed. You learned to play small. You learned to survive the noise. And somewhere along the way, you mistook survival for life. But the higher frequency, the one that belongs to you, never left. It's waiting. It's like a light hidden under layers of dust. And when you start brushing that dust away, something powerful happens. You remember who you really are. Now, here's the part most people miss. Reconnecting with your higher frequency isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering what was always there. You don't need to import light from outside. You are the light. What you need is to stop feeding the shadows that keep it hidden. Throughout history, the most awakened beings, the masters of wisdom, the illuminated teachers, have all said the same thing in different languages. Through different metaphors, the kingdom isn't out there, it's in you. The connection to source isn't a treasure you have to hunt for, it's a current already flowing through you. And when you tune into it, your life starts aligning in ways you couldn't force if you tried. But tuning in requires courage, because you can't carry both worlds. You can't live on the frequency of fear and expect to taste freedom. You can't cling to your illusions and expect to walk in truth. You can't keep replaying the victim script and expect to step into power. At some point, you have to decide, do you keep feeding the forces that drain you? Or do you align with the frequency that lifts you? Here's the subtle trap. Those destructive forces won't come at you with horns and red eyes. They come disguised as comfort, as routines, as the path of least resistance. They whisper, stay here where it's familiar. Don't question too much. Don't change too fast. And without realizing it, you hand over your energy one small compromise at a time, until one day you wake up and wonder, where did my life go? But if you dare to step out of that hypnosis, if you dare to claim your higher frequency, everything shifts. You stop seeking validation in a world that doesn't even validate itself. You stop begging for love from people who haven't learned to love themselves. You stop searching for peace in things that can only give you distraction. Instead, you start generating it. You become the source. You stop chasing and start radiating. And that's when reality bends. That's when synchronicities appear. That's when opportunities flow. Not because the world suddenly decided to bless you, but because you finally tuned into the current that was blessing you all along. The irony is that the power you're looking for is not a future version of you. It's the version of you that's been buried under fear and noise. When you strip that away, you don't just feel lighter, you become magnetic. People notice, circumstances shift, life reorganizes around your new frequency. And listen, this isn't about perfection. The masters didn't walk around flawless, untouchable, disconnected from struggle. They walked in awareness. They understood that destructive forces exist, but they refused to give them the throne. They guarded their energy like it mattered because it did. The same choice is in front of you, every day, every thought. Every word you speak is a frequency broadcast. You are either feeding chaos or feeding clarity. And when you realize this, you stop living as a passive receiver of reality and start living as an active creator. So let me ask you directly, which frequency are you going to choose today? Are you going to let the reruns of fear, lack, and self-doubt keep dictating your script? Or are you finally going to flip the channel and step into the higher frequency that has been calling you all along? Because this is not theory. This is not philosophy to file away in your mind. This is a lived decision. The proof will be in how you wake up tomorrow, in the words you speak to yourself when no one else is listening, in the energy you carry into the rooms you enter, in the choices you make when no one is watching. And here's the invitation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for life to line up all the green lights. That's the program talking, convincing you that you need permission to start. You don't. You only need willingness. Willingness to stop betraying your own light. Willingness to stop pretending you're powerless. Willingness to rise, because the world doesn't change when you wish it to. The world changes when you change your frequency. When enough of us do this, the collective script shifts. The show itself evolves. That's how revolutions of consciousness are born. Not from one dramatic event, but from countless individuals who decided no more reruns. So maybe this is the moment you claim it. Maybe this is the turning point you'll look back on years from now and say, that's when I stopped living someone else's script and started living mine. And if you're wondering where to begin, begin here. Begin now. Speak differently. Think differently. Choose differently. Watch how your reality bends when you stop watching the reruns and start writing the story, because no one is coming to flip the channel for you. The remote has always been in your hands. The only question is, what frequency are you going to tune into? It's your choice. It's always been your choice. And maybe today is the day you finally claim it. So if this message has stirred something in you, don't just nod and scroll away. Take it as your signal. Take it as your call to action. Subscribe, stay connected, and step into a community that exists to remind you of what you already carry. Share this with someone who's stuck in their reruns, because sometimes one message is enough to flip the channel of a life. But most of all, don't just hear these words, live them. Because the reruns end the moment you decide they do.